gorgeous people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amber Meeks, and today I'm going to show you how I turned these pants into not one but two skirts. I saw these pants at Gabe's and I absolutely fell in love with them. I loved the print, I liked the stripe detail down the sides of them, and thought, wow, that would make an awesome skirt. So I picked them up, not even checking the size, but super glad that they were a bigger size than I needed. And when I got them home, I looked at them and thought, okay, they're definitely going to be able to make more than one skirt. So I'm going to show you how I made two skirts out of these one pair of pants. Full disclosure, I am not a seamstress. I am not a professional sew person or anything like that. I am showing you the do-it-yourself version of how you can take store-bought clothes and turn them into something that would be more like what you would want to wear. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so the supplies you're going to need for this DIY are some pins and a hand needle if you're going to hand sew, a seam ripper, a pair of scissors or a rotary cutter, some thread, and of course you're going to need a threaded bobbin if you're going to use a sewing machine, and not pictured as some fabric glue if you're going to glue, and the pants of your choice. So the first thing you're going to do is take your seam ripper and you're going to rip out the entire inseam of the pants. Now this is me showing you a close-up of how I normally do this, but it wasn't working out for me very well this time. So I end up showing you a better way here in the next clip. But I also wanted to show you that I was having a difficult time with that bottom part. So I was like, you know what, forget this. I am just going to snip it off. Not even going to be worried about it. So there I go, snip. And then in this next clip, I'm getting close to show you, I turn the pants inside out and then I just slip the seam ripper underneath those threads, as many threads as I can get it under, and then I just snap it off. Much faster, much easier, and I went down a little bit more. And then when I go to make sure that it's through to the other side, one of the threads was stuck, I just snapped it off and then ripped it down. Much faster and more productive that way. So this is what your pants should look like after you have ripped the entire inseam out. So it's just completely open pair of pants. So now we're ready to turn it into a skirt. So you're going to take your pants and you're going to flip them on their side. So what was the side of your pants will now become the front of your skirt. So the funky things on the side that come to a point that used to be the crotch area, I just snip those off because I just don't want to be worried about those and I'm trying to line it up and turn it into a skirt. So this is just me showing you I'm going to snip that side off and I'm going to snip the other side off as well. Okay, so after both sides are snipped off, you're going to take a skirt that fits you nicely and you're going to use that for your template to make your skirt. So this is just me lining up that center ribbon thing. I wanted it in the center part of the skirt. So I'm just laying my skirt that fits me well on top. Then I'm going to just cut around it, making sure that I leave a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. So if you're not used to doing this, you're going to want to measure it the first time, but I always just eyeball it because I've done this so much that I already know what it sorta should look like. So I just eyeball it, cut it all the way around. I've never had an issue, so I just do it this way. But you know, if you want to make sure that yours is correct, make sure that you measure a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around the skirt. Once you're done, you're going to pick up those two pieces that you just cut around and you're going to put them right sides together. And then you're going to pin them if you're going to sew. But if you're going to glue them, at this point you would just lay the skirt flat and just glue down each side of the skirt. So I'm pinning mine because I'm going to go ahead and take mine to the sewing machine. So this is me showing you it all pinned and ready to go. You're going to do the same thing to the other side of the skirt. And then I just show you here that you would get your thread and hand needle. If you were going to hand sew it, that's the way that you would do it. There's your hand needle in case you didn't know what one looked like. Get your thread and then you can get your fabric glue. I use Fabri-Tac if I am gluing anything together. So this is the finished skirt here after I've sewn the sides together. The next part that you're going to want to do is the hem. You could leave it as a raw edge, which I do quite often, but with this one, I'm going to go ahead and hem it because I think that it would look better. So I'm going to take mine to the sewing machine to hem. So this is the finished skirt after I hemmed the bottom there. I did a rolled hem on the bottom. And that's it, guys. You are literally done. You're just going to clean up all of your threads that might be hanging there, and that's it. Skirt number 1 finished. So for this second skirt, I did not have enough fabric to make a full skirt. So I put my skirt that fit me well on the bottom, and then I pinned some additional fabric to the top of the skirt, and I'm just going to cut around like I did at the beginning of the video, but this time I have the template skirt on the bottom, so this is just me feeling for where the top of that skirt is right there so that I can cut the top off, and that gives me the additional fabric that I will need on the top to make the skirt so that it will fit me. So then I just flip it over here to make sure that I'm cleaning up some of those edges. Now this isn't going to look perfect by any means, but it really doesn't matter. Once you sew it together, you're not going to see any of this. So I don't worry about it. I just go ahead and just go with it. Now you're going to need a second piece because you'll need one for the front and one for the back. So this is me just showing you I'm using that piece that I just measured out as my template to make that second piece. So I'm just going to cut around here and get that second piece ready. And like I said, guys, this is not going to be perfect. This is just, you know, to me it doesn't matter because once you sew it together, you don't see any of it anyway. So I just go with it like this. And there you go. So you're just going to take that piece, you're going to pin it to the bottom or glue it if you're gluing. So just pin it to the bottom and you're going to sew those two pieces together, and you're going to do the same thing with the other piece as well. So there it is, sewn together. And there it is with the top part of both pieces sewn together. So now you got to work on what additional fabric you need for your sides. I'm going with these snap pants that I bought at Gabe's for $6. I absolutely love them and thought they were super cute. So I line them up where the bottom's up together and go figure out how much fabric that I'm going to need. So there I just take a pen and I'm going to mark it. And then I'm just going to cut it across where I marked it at. So now remember, this is the additional material that you need for the sides of your skirt. So you're going to need two pieces that are identical. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this piece off here. And then once I'm finished, I'm going to use that piece and I'm going to line it up on the other side of the pant leg for my second piece. I went ahead and used the bottoms of this pant since the two pieces that I'm using from the previous pair of pants are the bottoms, so that I don't have to do a hem on this one because the hems are already ready to go. So this way I just have to snip everything off, and then I'm just having to sew in the additional parts that I need to add and don't have to worry about doing a hem this time. Now I played around with these two pieces for a really long time trying to decide how I was going to put them on the skirt. So instead of boring you with all of that footage, I'm just going to jump and show you here that I just simply cut the sides down. You don't have to seam rip on this one because I have more than enough material, so I'm not concerned about conserving material. So I just simply cut down the center there. And I'm just going to decide how much of that fabric that I need once I've got it all cut. Okay, so that piece is cut, and then I take a look at it, and I want to make sure both sides are even. So I have 4 inches on one side and more than that on the other. So I'm just going to cut this other side to 4 inches. So I just lined it up, and I'm taking my rotary tool, and I'm just cutting it right down to where I need. Then I'm going to need to do the same thing on the other side. And then I'm like, okay, you might want to trim it first and make sure it's somewhat level before you do that. So there's me trimming it up. And then I'm going to measure and do the same thing I did on the bottom to make sure it's the same size all the way around. So that's me cutting off the excess. And then when I laid it flat, I realized there was a little bit more excess on that other side. So I just took the rotary tool and cut that off. So there you go. Now you're just going to take that piece again and use that as your template for your second piece. Because again, these are the sides of your skirt, so you want them to be identical, or as identical as possible. So there's me just sitting it on top, measuring it around so that I have two pieces that are the same. So then I just took those and I pinned them in. Like I said, I played around with it for a really long time, so I don't want to bore you with that footage. So this is what it looked like after I pinned it all in there. So I'm just going to take that to my sewing machine and sew that in. I did flip it out right here just so that you guys, flip it inside out rather, so that you guys could see how I pinned it together. And that's what it looked like. I have a lot of excess fabric there, but I'll worry about that after I make sure it fits. So here it is, completely sewn together. I did try it on and it fit perfectly. So this is just me showing you that excess fabric that was there. I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and I'm going to cut off any excess that I have all the way around the skirt. So just take your scissors, make sure you don't go into the seam or close to the seam, and you're just going to cut off that excess. That's it. You're going to make sure you do that all the way around the skirt. And then the second skirt is done. I did notice that I had trouble getting close to that top part with my sewing machine. So this is me just showing you. I'm just going to simply hand stitch that down. No big deal. So this is the shirt for that first skirt that I made. Love the shirt the way that it is, but I can't wear crop tops to work, even if I wanted to. So I'm taking a dress that I have. I'm going to seam rip the bottom of that dress off to add it to give me the additional length that I need for the shirt to be appropriate for me to wear to work. So that's just me showing you that's the plan. We'll see how it works. So after I seam ripped that bottom part off, I'm going to take it and pin it to the shirt. So pinning right sides together, I'm going to first line up the side seams. This way, I only have to sew one side seam, not two. If I match these two up correctly, that one's already sewn, don't have to worry about it. So why do additional work, right? So this is just me taking the pins. I'm going to pin that all the way around the top part of, or the bottom part rather, of the shirt. Okay, so this is me at the very end here. I'm doing my last couple of pins, and then when you're doing your side seam, if you do something like this to a shirt, you're going to want to make sure, like I said, make sure you leave a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch seam allowance on both sides. So both sides of this, I'm going to make sure that I have enough seam allowance to allow for me to sew it together and for it to still fit properly. So I find when I do this type of thing that I need to pin the top and then I go straight to the bottom and pin the bottom, and then I pin the center together, because every single time I start at one end and just pin all the way down to the other end, it never lines up. Maybe it's just me. Maybe you professionals out there will know exactly what I'm doing wrong, but I find that this way works for me. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing because it works. So I do the top, then the bottom, and then I do my center. Have no issues. Everything lines up perfectly fine. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. I'm not going to show it to you after it's sewn. I'll just show you the poor modeling that I do at the very end of this video. And there you go. That's what it's going to look like. Okay, so I forgot to model the second outfit. So this is some close-up footage of me in that outfit. And I love how it turned. This was my favorite one. I absolutely love how this one turned out. The snaps on the side, that detail is so awesome. Even though you have the detail in the front, that side detail looks phenomenal. And yes, I did black out the part where my dog decided to go to the bathroom. So that's what that little black spot is. There you go. So there you have it, guys. That's how I turned this pair of pants into 2 skirts. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell so you know every time I upload a video. Thanks for stopping by to check out my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!